Void objects remove mass from mass objects. Meaning, if you wanted to cut a circle through a mass object, you'd probably use a void object in order to do that. If you wanted to cut a tunnel through an object, you'd probably use a void object to do that. To cut some of the mass out of this square that we see on the screen, let's first go to a floor plan view, then select on this ref level. Now we're looking down at that block so that we're seeing it in a plan view. Let's start by drawing in an extrusion. But the kind of extrusion we want to do will be a void extrusion. So come to Void Forms and then select on Void Extrusion. Now I want to draw a circle. And the reason why I'm drawing a circle is I want to cut a hole that goes all the way through the box. Select on Circle, click here, draw in a circular shape. Now this circle will be having a depth of 1 foot. That means that it goes 1 foot from the bottom of the box up toward the top of the box. If we click on the big green check mark, then click off, we now have this hole that's going all the way through the box. To see it a little bit better, I'll come down here to our visual styles and then change this view to be shaded. Everything where there's solid matter is now gray. Where there's no solid matter, that's white. So we're looking at a hole going all the way through it. We also can see it in 3D by selecting on the default 3D view button. There's that hole. Now, if we wanted to make an adjustment to the hole, we can. Select on that void extrusion, and then we now want to adjust its overall depth. Now, assuming that we want that hole to come in from the top of the box, we need to leave the extrusion end at 1 foot because that's the high end of that extrusion. We need to adjust the bottom of that extrusion to be higher up. So let's say that the bottom of that extrusion is 8 inches above the bottom of the box. Move your cursor out here into this area and then click, and now we can see we're no longer cutting all the way through the box, just 4 inches deep into the box. Now, let's use some of our other void forms to create other kinds of shapes. Now, instead of going into our plane view, what I'd like to do is go into an elevation view next. Let's go to the elevation back. I'll zoom out. This is that same cube, it's just 1 foot deep. Come to Create, go to Void Forms, and now let's use a Void Blend. Select on the Void Blend command, and now we need to draw 2 separate shapes. The first shape can be whatever shape that we'd like it to be, and the second shape will be what the other end of this hole that we're getting ready to create will have. For instance, we could draw a circle again. I'll draw a circle from here to right about here. Then I'm going to select on Edit Top. I'm going to draw another circle, but this one will be much smaller. In fact, I'm going to zoom in by just spinning the wheel on my mouse, click here in the center, and then draw a little circle right there. Then click on the big green check mark. Click out here. Now we can see this double circular shape. Well, what's actually happening is that this object here, if I select on it, we can see is 1 foot in depth. So it's drilling into this object 1 foot. Take a look at it in 3D. Click on the default 3D view button. Right now we can't see it because it's over on the other side of this block. But if we click on this corner of the view cube to spin it around, there's that circular shape, and see how it's going through to that point. In fact, I'll hold down the Shift button and the wheel of the mouse, and we can take a better look inside there. So we have this cone being cut out of this block that we have created. Now, to be able to use some of the other commands, once again, I'd like to come in here to Elevations. Once again, come here to Back. This time, I want to create a different kind of shape. I'm going to come here to Create, Void Forms. This time, I'm going to do a Void Revolve. Select on the Revolve. And what I think I'll draw is just using the Line tool Just a really strange shape. I'm not going to get too complex with the shape, but it does need to be one continuous line if we would follow it all the way around. But not only can it be one continuous line if we follow it all the way around, it could be a series of one continuous lines if we would follow it all the way on around. Now I'm going to hit the escape key. Now what it's going to do is that it's going to cut mass out of this area, and it'll leave mass right where the circular shape is. So it's just cutting mass out of this area. I also need to assign an axis line. In this case, I'm going to assign it all the way over here. So I'm just going to click once, come up, click again. And this shape is going to spin itself all the way around in this direction. Click the big green check mark, click out here. I'll zoom out a little bit, and then select on the default 3D view button. Zoom in, hold down Shift, hold down the wheel of my mouse, and now we can take a look, and we can see how it's cutting that mass in that shape all the way on around, and it's left that circle, just like I said it would, going all the way around to the other side. And we could continue that by coming up here to the Create tab, going to Void Forms, and using either our Void Sweeps or our Void Swept Blends, just like our sweeps and swept blend tools that we used in our massing tools. The point being is that each of these void forms can take out mass from a mass object and create more complex, more interesting shapes.